Ship Happens, the show where crew tell their experiences of working on cruise ships, hosted by Jimmy Crew and Jolly Roger. Hi, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Ship Happens. I'm here with Jolly Roger, and my name is Jimmy Crew. And we tell you a little bit about everything that happens with crew members and the lifestyle of working on ships. So, on last episode, we were talking about food and the amazing place, which is the mess, where all the nationalities come together to share their food and a little bit of stories of their home countries. But the place that I was mentioning on the last episode was the happiest place for crew members to finally get a place to relax after a long day of work, and a place to just decompress and tell stories and really get it deep into what bothers you, drama, stories, everything that happens is at the crew bar. Am I right, Jolly Roger?
Crew
Yes.
bar, yes,
Ah,
yes.
I'm actually
Okay,
getting excited just talking
okay.
about it
Me
right now
too. I'm
because
already
oh.
mentally there. I don't know about you, but I'm already there,
I'm
like in
closing
my
my
mind.
eyes and I'm ordering a double.
So Jimmy, okay, Jimmy, please, just for the people that haven't worked on a ship, and we have some audience of ours that never worked on ships, or even if they cruise, this is the area that guests are not allowed to. So let's just please explain to all these people what is a crew bar on the ship and the meaning of the crew bar of the ship, or like for
So
all of us.
basically, it's a little secret place that we have. Every ship has an underground or one of the levels where crew have only are only allowed to be in, and it's a place. It's basically just a bar that crew members can go to after work. And actually, on some ships, for that matter, they open from 5 p.m. I believe, and they close early, like around 1:30
That's
in the
right.
morning. So for the most part, the busiest time is after everybody's finishing their shift because most people finish their shift between 10 to 12 midnight, right? So right after that, some people don't even go to their cabins to change. They just go straight to the crew bar to decompress, get their shot of tequila, their shot of whiskey, whatever, and just be like, oh my goodness, I'm done for the day. And then little by little, you have all these departments getting there. I usually was done early, so I would just go to the shows and then finish going to the crew bar. So I saw a lot of the transition of different groups of people coming in, from housekeeping to food operations to
Officers
beverage operations, officers, just coming in there. And that's a place where, again, everybody, pretty much has no rank or anything. Everybody just goes there,
equal,
and you sit
everybody
with
equal.
everybody's equal. Nobody argues for the most part, I guess, because sometimes there's drama, but for the most part, it's just about, one of the main topics of discussion is like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I had this guest that told me this, or I had this awesome guest that, gave me $100 tip, and this guest was so drunk. And so it's just stories about work. And that's the thing that, that you kind of want to get away from that, but it's not, because it's entertaining to hear what everybody has to tell about their work. Like, oh, I was so lazy today at work, or this happened at work. And it's always the stories. Eventually, once you get more deep into the conversation, I guess on one-on-one, you get to know more about their country. Oh, back home I was doing this and whatnot. But for the most part, when you're sitting in a group of friends, it's always the stories about what happened outside of port. And oh, did you hear about the DJ? He got drunk, and he got in trouble for doing this and that. So it's one of the coolest places for any group member to like just relax. Play some pool. There's foosball. There's games.
Yeah, that's
There's
what I wanted to talk
karaoke.
about. Just to explain, like for someone that never been on, in a crew bar, like different ships, they have different bars and different cruise lines. They have different, but basically some of the main things are the same on every ship and every cruise line. So once you walk in, there's always, as you mentioned, the bar, which is the main reason. The space is open all day. I mean, you can walk in there, but the bar opens. We have our own bartenders, and it opens 5 p.m. and until after midnight. But then you have like booths and chairs and tables and different layout for people to sit on. You usually have a connected outside area, which is smoking area, and but many people, non-smokers, also hang out there with the fresh air. You have pool table, which I never quite understood, to be honest. Like I never played them. Like it's a moving ship, and you're
Yes,
playing with the balls
it's a
on the
little bit
round table.
complicated.
So like it's cheating all the time. You never won like who's the best. It's always like who's the luckiest one. The ship tilted, and then you get the black ball in, and then you're done. But this is it was very amazing to me that people play that. But you have darts, you have playing cards. The people just different ships. They have different kind of entertainment there. Jukebox. Some ships they have jukebox. You can play your own songs, or you have like a DJ, or they plug in just like a phone
Oh,
and
that's
put
right.
the
I
put the
remember
playlist.
they used to have a because like we mentioned like a lot of these crew members. I mean, they have like a lot of talents from back home, and I remember on some ships, they had a guy. I think he was from Indonesia that was a DJ back home, and he had brought his own equipment. Believe it or not, one of his suitcase was his DJ equipment. So every night when he was done with work, and he usually finished like around 10:30, 11 o'clock, he would finish work, get showered, change into his DJ outfit, and he would come and set up. And he had permission by the hotel director and HR to be like, yeah, people love him. That he plays amazing music, and he would play until 1:32 in the morning and until they shut him down. But it was amazing. So it's a lot of fun. For people just to hang out and talk, and that's where you actually met to meet a lot of the fellow crew members because many times unless you meet them at the crew bar, you don't get a chance to meet other departments because they're
We
in different areas
scattered
of the ship.
all over the ship during the day.
Exactly.
Like we
So
everywhere.
so once you get to the crew bar, that's when you see your names like, oh, you do
Yeah,
housekeeping, or you're in the casino, or you're in the bar, and it's like, oh, nice to meet you. I
average
just
ship
came here
average
and
ship
mhm.
has like 11 decks or 13 decks, right? Floors.
Yes.
And and we as crew, we all over this place. I mean, everywhere. And some people are very contained, like cooks. They're very contained in their kitchen, so they don't get a chance to roam around the ship a lot. But crew bar is the place like where when you finish job, everybody shows up there. So this is a small space, as you mentioned, like, and then everybody from every country and every department, no matter are you a manager. I mean, they can be at one table. You can have a hotel director, a bar manager, a housekeeping assistant, I don't know, a bartender, and then I don't know, gift shop girl and spa girl, hairstylist, and everybody at the same table talking, like they're best friends, But it's the management thing. At the bar, everybody are the same. Even some of the captains will join the bar occasionally,
Yeah, I know
and
on
then
some ships, you have some people that on some ships you don't see normally. Like you said, the captain sometimes, even the hotel director. I remember there was a cool hotel director that used to whenever the bar was super busy, because on some ships, I mean, it was so packed with crew members that I mean they needed extra bartenders from the guest areas because we I remember on one ship we actually would drink more on the crew bar than the guest itself, so they would make more
oh
profit at the
yes,
bar
yes,
in the crew bar than they would do with the guests. So I mean it was incredible. So they had to like pull bartenders from upstairs from the bars that were not that busy and bring them downstairs because there's so many crew members. And I remember this hotel director, he was super funny. He would actually go to the back bar because obviously he was authorized to do. I mean, he's the boss, right? And he would
right.
go there, put me in, coach, and he would go there and start making drinks for the crew members. We were like, wow, that's so cool. And obviously he was asking like, okay, what do I do with this button? What does this button do? He wanted cranberry juice. What's that? Let's see. You see everybody trying to explain to him, right? But because it was so busy, but it was so much fun, because everybody was there and like we mentioned, everybody's equal there. There's no, oh, I'm your boss or whatever. Everybody's just like, oh my god, what a
Absolutely.
day. Let me buy you a drink, or we had a fight and we had an argument or whatever. Let's all bury the hatchet and let's go have a drink and we're friends now. We're all family here and just forget about it and that's it. Move on to the next day, right? So
Oh yes,
it's it's
oh
a,
yes.
it's one of the coolest places for me, and there's some
It
people that that there are characters there. You're like, oh, here comes this guy that does funny jokes or that does magic or that plays the guitar sometimes. So
yeah, people play guitars there also, but I want to say, like, you mentioned that it was bring a lot of money. I have to say, from my experience, as far as I know, on every ship that I've been, when it comes to revenues, because every bar, there's many bars on the ship for the guests, and there's only one bar for crew, and crew bar was always the highest revenue bar out of all of the
Wow.
bars on the ship because it's
Wow.
only
I don't
one.
I believe it. I believe it. Yes.
Because the gas they have like, I don't know, like 10 different bars around the ship. So I don't know, 5,000 guests, they kind of go different bars, right? But all 1,200 crew go to one bar, and they
Exactly.
spend all the money in the one bar. And
Yeah.
and crew bar is the highest revenue bar on the ship. but but from as an HR, I have to say this: there's an alcohol policy, zero tolerance
Oh,
policy on
tell
the
us about
ship.
that policy that I
So
was
let me
excited when I told my parents like, hey, guess what? Look, I was reading the contract and it said like you cannot be more than 0.2% alcohol during your whole time while you're working or even off duty.
0.08.
So tell exactly. Okay, so tell us about that.
It's the same amount as drink and drive in the states. It's the same rule. You cannot drive the vehicle if you have more than 0.08 on car. If you have more, if the cop stops you, you're gonna go to the trial or whatever, right?
Yeah, you go to jail.
You
But same on the ship. On the
but
ship,
it's
if
but
you get
so this
breathalyzed,
same you say it's the same amount of alcohol in your blood. That cannot be, because you're constantly on the moving vehicle. Ship is the moving vehicle, and emergency can happen at any time, and you have to have enough of clear mind to save yourself and to help save others. So that's why zero tolerance, and to prevent injuries. And this is something that you have to respect. Although it was kind of because it's after work, and they realize that people need to kind of relax and decompress. I mean, you work so much and you work so hard and for so long that they kind of overlook. You can have few cocktails more than usual. Usually they don't test you on in a crew bar. But if you make go outside, and then let's say, and I can share some stories, you can drink, but as long as you don't get caught.
responsible. You have to be responsible.
Yeah, be responsible. As long as you don't get caught, or as long as you don't show up at work drunk. You have to sober up. You have to, if you have to start your shift 7 a.m., you can drink night before, but at 7 a.m., you need to be completely sober, or otherwise you're in a big, big trouble. Probably even
Yes,
get
exactly.
fired. And there was this story. I remember one guy. I will share two stories, short stories with you, just to see how serious this is, and how people don't get it serious sometimes. And in but it's fun. And this guy, he was celebrating his birthday, and he celebrated in his cabin. They went to the crew bar, and then him and his friends, small group of friends, they joined him in his cabin, and they continued to drink, and nobody would bother them if they just went to sleep, right? They would sober up by the morning, and it would be not, it would be okay. But suddenly, this guy felt, birthday boy, he felt hungry. So he said, "Let me just go to the mess. It was still open after midnight. Just grab some food, and then I'll come back." And he goes to the mess, and the ship was rocking, and he felt sick, and he threw up. Poor guy, in the mess, in the crew mess where the food is. His birthday, and of course he threw up in a place where it's very very risky to any contamination. And of course security had to test him. They have to. It's not a matter of choice. They have to test him, and of course he was much more drunk than
Over
he's
the
supposed
alcohol
to, he's
limit.
allowed to. And he lost his job, unfortunately. The next day he was sent home on his birthday. I mean, and this thing happens, so you have to be very careful. We have to be very, I mean, they will not bother you as much if you're responsible. And
Exactly.
also there was this one guy. It was so funny. And there was this one guy. He was I was in Australia actually on that ship. and we tried, and he was so drunk they couldn't wake him up. The his shift, he was a waiter. His shift was supposed to start, and they call in his cabin. Nobody's answering. They go there, knocking on the door. Nobody's answering. So finally they get the spare key. They go in, and he's in such a deep sleep he cannot hear anything. He's like comatose from the alcohol. And they wake him up finally, but of course they have to test him. He's fired. But we cannot, until we get back to the home port, we cannot disembark this guy. So he have to stay on the ship for like 2 days until we get to Sydney. And he was just drinking all the time. And I remember we managed to get to Sydney, and the night before he was supposed to disembark, he's fired from his job. He again, he got so drunk that they have to put him on the wheelchair, and try to roll him off the ship, right? Because he was so wasted drunk. But then Australian authorities, they said, no, 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 we're not going to take him like that.
We
I
don't
mean, in
want
that
that
condition,
drunk crew, remember?
because after he's off the ship, it's their responsibility of local authorities to
Oh
get him
my
on the
gosh.
airport and plane and everything, right?
And send
And
him back home.
no, they sent him back on the ship. So we stuck with him and for the next 3 days, right? We cannot get rid of this guy. We cannot disembark him because he keeps drinking,
Nobody wants him.
and
Nobody wants him.
no port wants to take him. Right, so he's just cruising for like 10 days on the ship, like drunk. He cannot get sober, and so finally, I don't know in which port. It wasn't Sydney. It was some smaller port that we finally caught him not drunk, not too drunk, and we
And
finally
you just kick
managed
him out.
to send him home. Yeah, to buy him a flight ticket, and to escort him to the airport, get him into the plane, and then send him home. It was such a funny story. Like
That's
this guy was like
hilarious.
cruising for free for like 10 days, just
Just
wasted
drinking,
drunk.
drinking, drinking.
Oh my god!
And
But it
and
is
that's the thing, like you
serious,
mentioned, you just have to like, drink responsibly. But I mean, then again, I mean, sometimes you just start drinking, and next thing you know, you're drunk, and you're like, oh boy, like this is not responsible because nobody thinks, okay, maybe this seventh shot is not a good idea. But for example,
right?
me when I first went to the crew bar, my experience, for example, I was doing the college, like I was telling you, the guest services
Mm,
college, and because the previous class that graduated got so drunk every single night when they first came on board, they didn't allow us to go to crew bar for the first week when we started working on ships. So I was like, man, that sucks.
true.
Like how come like and I'm like, why not? It's like because people that were going to the college were falling asleep in class, they were still drunk, like you mentioned. So I was like, okay, so my luck, just my luck, we're not allowed to drink. But after the week that we kind of like, did the hardest part of the studies, they're like, okay, you guys are allowed to go to crew bar, but be responsible, right? So I get there, and here's the thing that guests, I guess, don't know is that the prices are almost at cost. So it was so cheap. So me being from South Florida, drinks are super expensive. Like $20 for a drink or
Right,
$15 for a drink.
right.
So I get there with my teammates, and I said like, you know what? Now that we're allowed, the first drinks on me, right? The first round's on me. So somebody order a beer, somebody a whiskey, somebody like a vodka cranberry. I forgot what I was drinking at the time. So the bill comes and it was like $9
$20.
and fifty
Oh,
cents.
$9. Oh
No,
wow.
no,
Oh
nothing,
yeah.
nothing. So I said like, no, 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 and I told the bartender like, no, I'm paying for everybody. And the guy's like, yeah, that's for everybody. I was like, no, but I'm paying for like this six guys over here. It's like that's for everybody. I was like, are you kidding me? I look at the prices like, oh my god, this is paradise. I was like, woo, I'm rich. I'm rich, bitch. But then I was like, but after I got my first paycheck, I'm like, oh hell no. That's what I'm getting paid. Like, never mind. Give me back your drinks. But I mean, it was so cheap to drink,
It's
because
okay
like I
if you
said,
do it if you do it like once a week or twice a week, but you're there like every day, every night, and like
exactly, and it
and
adds up.
those
So part of your
those
check just
ten
goes to the
dollars
crew
adds
bar.
up. Yep, yep. And then
Exactly. And for example, I'm one of the guys that probably would go to the crew bar every single night. I think my first contract, which was a long contract, it was 9 months. And again, I'm not an alcoholic, or I wasn't an alcoholic. I was a drunk.
oh,
Alcoholics
how
go to
time changes.
meetings. I'm a drunk. I go to parties. So it's a little bit different, right?
So you you
so
you
uh,
you're,
so
you're
anyway, I
just on
was
the
the guy that,
you didn't get to the
huh?
first step yet. You didn't get to the first step yet, yeah, right? Of
Right,
12
right.
steps.
Again, because exactly, because and then again, if you think about it, I mean, you're only there for. I mean, I would never go before 10 o'clock because I was still working, and my promise to myself was like, I'm not going before 10 o'clock. But then again, you
Because
go out
no
and
one's
port, you get
there
drunk and
before
port.
10 o'clock.
Exactly. But again, you only have about 3 hours to drink. So
Mm.
and then once everybody gets off, so that was really the only place, like I mentioned, that you get a chance to actually meet all your friends and catch up or whatever, and you pretty much have to drink real quick before the bar closes. So that was the only place that I could see all my friends and meet new people
So what was your drink
and
of choice?
just it was vodka soda with a splash of cranberry. And that's a drink that I brought
Mm.
from home, but that's another story. But
Wow, I
yeah,
never
that was
tried that.
usually it. And usually beer, if there was nothing around, or it was quicker, especially people when they don't realize that when the bar is closing, the entire everybody that's at the bar, they rush to the bar to get the last drink, so they say like last call, it's like at 1:15 or 1:20, and good luck trying to get a drink there because everybody's trying to get their last drink and before they close the bar because at 1:30, once they close the system, there's no way you can sell another drink. I mean, it's
Yeah,
impossible.
but that's what
There's
I
not.
said. Like it doesn't matter if the bar is closed. The actual bar is closed. The bar area is still open. That's why so people buying drinks, and then you stay after 1:30. You stay
Right,
until like
right.
3 a.m. because you buy like 5 beers, and then you just stay
And
with
that's
your
but exactly,
mates.
but that at closing time, that's when everybody wants like,
Mm,
"Oh, give me 10 beers," because
yeah,
they're gonna
yeah,
keep
yeah.
him there and they're gonna keep on drinking because the bar never
Until
closes.
the
I mean, you can
morning.
stay there till the morning and still be drinking, as long as you have drinks there. But I mean, the bar closes at 1:30 no matter what, and if you
Yep,
don't get in
true.
your last call, then you have to like go and beg the next guy to give you a beer or sell you a beer. Oh, but that's another thing. I remember there was on one of the ships, that's always this, the little mafia, the little speakeasy that they're like, oh, you know what, on deck for crew, on deck three, there's just knock on cabin 305, and you knock on the door, and I went with the guy, and he's like, oh yeah, yeah, it's on 305, this crew, and I think it was housekeeping or maybe
Mm,
or one of those departments, and you just knock on the door, and the guy opens the door, and they're like playing video games in there. And it's like, what do you want? It's like, okay, like let me get a bottle of whiskey and a few beers, and there you go. I mean, obviously a little bit more
oh yeah.
expensive, but and then you just come back to the crew bar and you keep on drinking. So it was cool. And before you were able to crew members as opposed to guests when they came back to the ship with liquor, it was confiscated or it was taken from them and then given to them when they left the port or when they arrived to their home port. So
Home port. Yeah, when they leave the ship,
yeah, they
when the
would
cruise
take
is
it and they
finished.
would have to take up the liquor that they bought and then collect it. Right, for crew members, we were allowed to whatever liquor we bought outside, we can bring it straight to our cabin. So I mean, we would go out and buy, bottles and bottles, and you have like for a party, for example, like somebody's cabin is having a party, or like a little private party, and you have all the liquor available to you. They changed that rule now. Actually, the day I think it was a sign because the day that I quit, the day that I step off the foot, they passed a new rule for crew members that any liquor that's brought from outside is not given to you until you sign off date. So if you sign off in 6 months,
Really?
you don't get
Oh, I
that bottle
don't.
until the last day, and you're not, and no
I don't
longer you're allowed to
remember
have
that.
liquor in your cabin. Yeah, you're no longer to
Oh
have
wow.
liquor or beers in your
They're
cabin,
getting more
unfortunately. Yeah.
strict and strict over the years. I'm
Thank
feeling
God
like
I
this
left
was
on time.
yeah. I think it was the last hooray. I think it was the last time, and especially
Yes.
now with this virus going around. I just saw someone on Facebook saying like they're on the ships for like 3 months now, and they never left the ship because crew is not allowed to leave the ship. So
Yeah,
they're
some
like they're
some cruise
just like
lines,
yeah,
they don't allow the crew members off the ship. I know one
this
cruise
is.
line is allowing U.S. port and also in the ports they allow them out. So at least they have that.
I have one friend. I think she's on Princess. No, she's on Norwegian on NCL, and she told me that she's on board for like 3 months, and all she saw is through the porthole. She never
Wow.
stepped one, and no none of the crew,
Yeah.
but uh, but yeah, I mean this is gonna pass, as, of course, in a year
Of
or
course.
two.
Yeah, it'll get
So
back to
we're
normal.
gonna usually gotta get back to normal. But
Yeah.
it
And
was
I know
interesting. It
people
was
in
very
Carnival that,
interesting.
that are allowed to get off from port and U.S. ports and all the other ports they
Mm.
visit, but the crew bar is not the same as it used to be because I mean now you can only get one drink like every 15 minutes. So and it can only be your card. No, you can't buy drinks for anybody else. You can only get
Well,
one
they
drink.
keep
Imagine
saying
that.
that this rule was from a long time ago, but rarely they respect that. I have to be honest. I mean, because bartender can cut you off if they feel like it. They don't have to serve you. If they feel that you drank too much, they have to. It's not even a choice. They have to
Yeah.
cut you off. And it goes the same for the guest. I don't know if you know that, but also for the guest, same like on the land in US.
Yes, yes,
Bartender
yeah, they
has
do that.
every right if he feels, and it's his responsibility for your own safety. They will cut you off. They will say, I'm sorry sir, but I don't think you should drink enough. I think you had more than enough. But again, you have to be very diplomatic about that, not to cause any trouble, to
You're right.
enrage the person and all this. But this is part of their training from bar people. They need to learn how to cut you off if they feel it's you jeopardizing your own life with the amount of
Of course.
alcohol.
No, but this is a new rule also the day that I stepped off as far as like, bringing liquor, that before you can buy drinks for, 10 drinks if you wanted to for the whole bar. Now the individual can only buy one drink. So
Mm,
so for
mm.
example, like if I go there and I want to buy 10 drinks for my friends or whatever, like I did the first time that I said at the crew in the crew
Yeah,
bar,
yeah.
now you're only allowed to buy one drink for yourself. I mean, I guess you can give it to somebody else if you wanted to, but you can only buy one drink at a time. And once you purchase that drink, you have to wait 15 minutes so your cart allows you to buy another drink.
Yeah, yeah.
So all those I mean, if you wanted to accumulate the drinks, you have to wait 50 minutes to get another drink, and then maybe like in an hour you'll have four drinks, to
Or you can
yourself.
just
Unless
collect cards from people that don't drink and just
Yeah,
buy on
but that
their card.
person, that's another thing. That person with the other card has to be at the bar. You cannot like collect the, oh, I'm buying a drink for my friend, here's his card. They don't allow that
Mm.
anymore. And I saw that
Yeah.
firsthand because I went cruising and I was landed in the crew area, and I'm like, oh, can I buy drinks for everybody? He's like, no, that person needs to come here. And I had their card. I'm like, no, that person needs to come here. So I mean, those days that you could just order 10 drinks and like sit down and like not have to
Yeah.
work to get up to the bar are done.
It
So
makes
that's
sense
another
because some
thing.
people, but it's always because some people abuse that,
There's always
and
some
they get in
person
trouble
abuses it,
and it
and
ruin for everybody. And so they don't drink responsibly and they make a mess and then they stop for everybody.
they ruin it
But
for everybody. Yes,
I remember on different ships. I'm a cocktail guy and I love cocktails, different cocktails. More
of
than
course you
like
do.
I don't
Of
like
course you do.
shots. Of course I am. And but no, I also like beer. I drink Corona all the time. I love Corona beer,
A
Mexican
cocktail
beer.
is your favorite, right?
And but cocktails were my favorites. And usually they make a joke. Oh, it's gonna be
What's your
either like
favorite cocktail?
it used to be vodka cranberry, but I don't consider that a cocktail. That's like a mix. But I don't know. They usually have these specialties. I don't know, Sex on the Beach or this. So tonight is promotion of this cocktail, Mama Mia or something like
Oh, I
that,
remember
or
that. Yeah,
Bahama
Bahama
Mama, or
Mama.
yeah.
Yeah.
But on one ship, actually on two, but on one I discovered they served Long Island. And you know what Long Island is, right?
Oh
The
my God,
cocktail,
it's the
iced tea.
strongest drink
It's the
in the world. Yes.
strongest tea. It had like five different shots inside, and then
Yes.
like a splash of Coke and lemon.
Oh.
And it's and that's and that one and then I figure out, oh my god, instead of like buying like five Bahama
10.
Mamas,
Yeah.
right, or 10, I
Two
buy
of these,
one.
and I'm tanked.
Even one ice
Wow.
they did is like I finish half the cup, the glass, and I'm already like wasted. And I'm like, oh my god, this is dream. And but that was on one ship. And then I go to another ship and I go to the crew bar and I'm like, Long Island, please. And the bartender is looking like, we don't serve that in a crew bar. This is only for guests. I
It's
mean, in guest
illegal.
like in crew bar, it's illegal to serve because there's five shots in there, and you're allowed to
Yeah.
buy like two shots, and you cannot have this. So depends. And the rule across the fleet is the same, but again, the bar manager to bar manager, hotel director to hotel director, they usually they some of them they're more loose, so they will allow. And on that ship, that was all the time allowed. Long Island was like my choice for that entire contract. And it was freaking amazing because again, one drink and you're done. You don't need to spend much, and you achieve desirable result.
Exactly.
so
I
so yeah,
remember
yeah.
when I first learned my lesson too about, drinking. 'Cause before I used to drink, I guess, more beer, and I was buying, I guess it was Stella, whatever, and that was, it adds up.
Stella.
But then I
Stella.
discovered this Australian beer, Foster's, which came in a
Oh yeah,
huge
the big
can
can,
that was
big
like two
cans.
beers, and I said like it's the same price as a Stella, and it's double the amount of beer.
Yeah,
So
yeah, yeah.
I
They're
mean, at
huge.
that point, I was like, I didn't, you don't care what the taste is because they're like,
Oh,
oh,
you
it's craft
don't. No,
beer.
no.
Australians like, oh, that isn't beer. That's not a knife. And I was like, it doesn't matter. It's still just gonna get me drunk. So I mean, I would
Yeah.
just started buying Fosters, and I remember like everybody knew me for Foster's. Whenever somebody's like, "Oh, you want a beer?" Yeah, Foster's. Boom, they came with this big can. They're like, "What the hell is this?" I'm like, "It's like two beers for the price of one," you know. So you're
the
always trying to find the fastest or the cheapest way to get drunk on the ship.
I don't like this Long Island iced tea. Like I don't like the taste of it.
Oh, it's
It's too much
disgusting,
alcohol.
but it gets,
It's disgusting.
but it
But
doesn't work. It doesn't
it
work.
does yeah, it does the work. And I mean, of course, I back home I never drink. Well, back home I don't drink. Period. But occasionally, like during the summer, I will have like a beer or something. But I don't drink. But on the ship, you drink every night because that's how you distress. Because that's how you relax. You know, because
Yeah, and that's
if
how
you
you go to,
go,
and eventually, I mean, I couldn't go to sleep unless I had a few drinks, or you're in bed, and it's always the one time that you don't go to the crew bar that something happens. Like, oh my God, you missed this.
oh yeah.
These guys got in a fight, and then again, you never really see fights in the crew
Well,
bar. I
I
mean,
never
I
missed.
actually never, I
I,
never
I
saw a fight ever.
I never saw a fight, but I missed the fight, the huge fight for like 5 minutes. 5 minutes after I left the bar, the fight started, and then
Oh, you told me, yes,
there was like seven people. There was seven people fired in
yeah.
one night,
And that's the
and
thing,
because of this.
people don't realize that nobody wants to get fired. So I mean, if there's any arguments or whatever, it's easily diffused. It's just like, all right,
Oh
guys,
yeah,
go to your room and whatever. So I never experienced a single fight, even with all those different nationalities, because again, nobody wants to get fired. You have a good job, you're away from home, and
but
it's nobody really. I never experienced any fights. But
but yeah, very rarely on the ships. I mean, considering how many nations and people and characters are
exactly,
on the
it's
ship,
amazing.
the fights are very rare thing. And I like to say the guests when I talk to the guests, they ask me about this, and I like the ships are so amazing because you have people that back home they're coming from different countries and different
Hmm.
religions and different everything, and different beliefs. And back home, their countries are in the war, like they're
Exactly,
shooting and
yeah.
killing each other, and then people from these same countries come on the ship and they're best friends on the ship.
Exactly.
And
Yeah,
that's why I
exactly.
say
That's one thing. That's one
sh-
thing. Yeah.
ship is the perfect proof that is never people, it's always politics. It's always, and this is the living proof that when you put the same people in a different environment, they get along perfectly, no matter the religion, no matter
Exactly.
the race or anything else. They get along fine. They fall in love, they get married, they have children, they have best friends for different countries.
It's the most beautiful
And
thing
so
ever, yes.
it is. But again, these are the people be back in their countries. They're killing each other, and that's the thing. It's not human nature. It's the politics, and it's
Yeah.
always have
And
been,
that's
and
why
it
I love
always will
that's why I
be.
love the crew bar. Everybody's a happy person, and we can wrap it up too,
It's
like,
like
by
United
saying that.
Nation.
Exactly, and but everybody gets along. I always say this joke, which is sounds like a joke, but it's not. I say, like, I love the crew bar. And I always say, like, a Russian, a Ukrainian, a Jew, a Muslim, Serbian, a Croatian. So mind you, like, look at all these countries that by history they have like conflicts, right? And
Right?
I say, like, a Russian, a Ukrainian, a Serbian, a Croatian, Turkish, a Greek, uh,
Muslim
this,
or
this, and
Jew.
that walk into a bar, and they're like,
Mm-hmm.
what happens? Nothing. We have a shot, we have a drink, we get drunk, we kiss, we hug, and that's it. And people like, oh, I thought it was going to be a joke. Like, no, that's how it is on a cruise ship. You have all these
Exactly.
nationalities that by history supposed to not hate each other, but on the ship everybody's like getting married, and like you have
Yes.
relationships with countries like, oh,
Yes.
I thought you're like, because nobody talks about that, right? We know what's going on, but on the ship, we're all friends and we all like there to take each
All.
other because,
All.
yeah, it's the most
You
beautiful thing in
cannot.
the world.
If you're
Yeah.
very resistant to accept other cultures, you're not going to stay long for it on the ship. I can tell you that for sure, especially from the
Oh
HR
yes. Oh
perspective.
yeah.
If you don't willing to accept this, and if you don't will are not willing
You
to
won't last.
adjust,
You will not
you
last.
will
You will
not
not last.
last. You will not last.
If you
So
have like
there's
that
no
misconception from your home country
there's
and
no
and and I guess racism,
no
you're not gonna
racism,
last
no
on a ship.
homophobia, no how do you say
Politics,
well,
that's why I love ship so much, like the ship life, because I mean everybody just gets along, and as long as you don't talk about politics and whatever, like that leave that back home. Here we're gonna have a drink, and we're gonna
yep,
go out party, and we're gonna go to the beach, and that's it. It's a
that's
I
it.
call it a little utopia, which is the most amazing thing, and the only way that I can describe working on cruise ships is a utopia where everybody just gets along. It would be a perfect world if we
Absolute
all
true.
lived on a ship.
I believe that. I believe that, and it is
Yeah,
absolute
it's a
true.
little utopia. So
And from this, like crew bars, this is just the beginning of the crew party life. And I will stop
Yes.
here. I will stop here, and then we're going to continue to a higher level of partying on the ship
Oh yeah,
in our
so we're
next
gonna wrap it
episode.
up here for the next
Yep.
episode because not only do we so you think we only have the crew bar, but guess what? Whenever you walk around the ship, I mean, and the ship is huge, right? It's a little city. So when you walk around the ship and you see a lounge or a restaurant or someplace that's closed for a private party at night, guess who's there? The crew, because they always
The
have like
crew.
every once a month or every twice a month they have a private party for crew members, and it's either theme parties, it's either
It's
a
huge.
celebration, a
It's
holiday, or
wild.
whatever,
It's huge. It's
and
just
it's
off
crew
the hook.
only, and you can only imagine the amount of parties that happen there, and that's
And
where also like everybody just goes wild and you
and we're
meet your
gonna tell you
future husband
more
or
more about
ex-girlfriend,
that.
ex-husband. Yes,
We're gonna
exactly.
tell
So
you
we're
more
gonna
about
go
that in the next episode, and we're really gonna
absolutely.
reveal some secrets behind the scenes. What's going on in
So
these
stick around for
parties?
the next episode, and we'll see you on for the next episode. Take care,
All right,
guys.
guys. Take care. Bye.